Hello everybody, I hope you're all doing very well today. My name is Mason Zero ASMR, and today I'm going to be doing a video I somehow have not done before. It's going to be similar to videos I have done, and that is a CD collection video. I've done a DVD collection, I've done a vinyl records collection, but never before have I gone through CDs. Yeah, CDs are a bit archaic, I suppose, these days, but not old enough to be cool. However, I did grow up in an era of CDs, 90s to 2000s, and I still have many that I got in middle school and high school, and a few from college, but very few, as that's when everything started getting either digital or regressing back to vinyl. So I'm going to do these in no particular order, and it's actually a pretty small selection of CDs compared to my full collection. I have a bunch. I think I might have finally thrown them away, honestly, and if I haven't, they're at my parents' house. But these are the ones that I kept. So I'm just going to go through them in no particular order and try to tell stories about them when possible. So here is the first CD. This is Year of the Black Rainbow by Coheed and Cambria. This is a regular jewel case CD, as most of them are. This came out in 2010. I remember buying this at Fred Meyer in the CD section, along with another CD that's in this pile. I hadn't listened to a ton of Coheed and Cambria before that, but I was familiar enough with them that I was fine buying their new record at the time. And while this certainly is not their most popular or even best musically record by a long shot, there are some very good songs on it, and I listened to this album at a very formative time musically. 2010 would have been my sophomore year of high school. But it would have been my junior year of high school, most likely. So we have several tracks on here. The singles from this album, or at least the ones that I think were the singles, were The Broken, Here We Are, Juggernaut, and I think Guns of Summer, but I'm not sure if there were other ones that were popular. Maybe Made Out of Nothing was. Certainly good songs. I enjoyed all of those. I think Here We Are, Juggernaut, and The Broken were probably the all-stars of this album. On the inside we have a nice red CD with reflective words and a nice sound. And we have a little CD book, but I'm not going to bother taking this out. Alright, we'll do some tapping on some other ones. The next one we have is something a little bit different. This one is not a jewel case. It is in fact a paper, cardboard, or what have you. This is a self-titled album by Impossible Bird. This was a short-lived band from Seattle, which is in the area where I grew up. I was pretty in tune with the music scene at the time, and these guys were good. The guy on the left, whose name was Nick, I had seen him in previous bands and musical endeavors, and he's one of the most interesting guitar players I know of. And the guy on the right, Tyler, is an amazing violin and fiddle player. They played sort of folky pop kind of indie music, but they broke up at some point. They only had 5 songs on this album, but it was good. I believe, yeah, they each signed it for me. Mason, thanks for rocking. Rock on. So yeah, that was cool. And we got the CD. This came out in... When did it come out? 2012. That sounds about right. The next one is another paper CD case. This one's a full album, though, by another band from Seattle called No Ray. This was their full-length album, Untie Your Arms, which I believe was their second or third album. These guys are good friends. I know them personally. I haven't talked to them in quite a while, but I know them all personally to a certain extent. When I worked at the radio station at my college, when I was in college, I invited them in to be interviewed and play some songs and stuff. And I tried to play this album when possible. There they are. A bunch of really cool people, and they're good musicians, and they play some catchy songs. I have several t-shirts of theirs. I like this album. Their symbol is kind of the owl, which I don't know if you can see that on here. And this came out in 2013. As you can see, was a full-length album. I haven't listened to it in a while, so I'm trying to remember my favorite songs from it. You Keep Running was pretty good. It's the only one that comes to mind. It's been a while, but very good album, very good band, and good people. The next several albums is all by one artist, so I'm going to attempt to go through them chronologically. I have 6 albums here, so you can guess this is a favorite of mine, and we'll start with this one. That band is Green Day. Their first album, or first real album, I guess, they had music before this, was Dookie. Very commercially successful these days. You know, you can turn on any alternative radio station and they will most certainly be playing a song from this album at some point. I listened to this so much in middle school, in high school. Notable tracks from this album are Longview, Welcome to Paradise, Basket Case, When I Come Around. Literally half this album is singles. I've had this CD since middle school. It has served me well. Green Day, while I have not listened to them in quite a while, were one of my favorite bands for a very long time. And of all their albums that they've released, I think this one is probably my favorite. It came out in 1994. I was only 1 year old when this album came out, and yet it's one of my favorites. The next Green Day album I have came out in 1997, and that is Nimrod. Certainly one of their lesser known albums, I suppose. There's still plenty of notable songs on here, including Hitchin' a Ride, King for a Day, and of course Good Riddance, Time of Your Life, which is one of the most overplayed songs at events. It's kind of a generic acoustic 90s song. Yeah, I used to listen to this album a lot because they were the songs that I didn't hear on the radio as much. There's a CD, Bright Yellow. So yeah, this one got a lot of listens from me, but since I did grow up in the era of digital music, or transitioning into digital music, most of these CDs are in pretty good condition since I never played the actual CD itself. The next one came out in 2001 and wasn't really an album. It was International Super Hits, which was a, I guess, greatest hits album. I actually don't even know what's on here. Yeah, just kind of greatest hits. So, nothing really notable here. I don't think there were any songs that were only on this album. There might have been. But, yeah, I'm not sure how known this album. Oh, I guess the cover is broken on this one. But, yeah, we got a white CD, but it's very reflective. There's that. And then, of course, we have the only one of the first albums I ever received, and it shows American Idiot by Green Day. You can see a lot of tape. I assume this cover is not attached. No, not even a little bit. This has seen better days. So many songs that see airplay today. So there's American Idiot itself. There's Jesus of Suburbia, which doesn't really see play necessarily. Holiday, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, Wake Me Up When September Ends, of course. There's just a lot of really good songs on this album, and some of them have stood the test of time to a certain extent. But yeah, this one's seen better days, and I've drawn that logo a lot, at least in middle school and high school I did. Next, we have 21st Century Breakdown, which came out in 2009. I don't even need to look for that one because I remember it. This album came out and marked the first time that I saw Green Day live, which was very cool. So yeah, that was back in 2009, not long after this album came out. It was a crazy experience. I saw them a second time a few years ago. I happened to win tickets to see their show a couple years ago. That was very, very cool. But yeah, so notable tracks from this one. I think Know Your Enemy was played a lot. And then Viva La Gloria, I think, was played a bit. And then 21 Guns. That might have been it. I'm sure there were other ones. This CD should be in better shape. Yeah, this one is just fine. Had that signature graffiti logo. Yeah, I liked that album a lot. I'm not sure how it compared to other albums, but... And then this one, which honestly I've never listened to. They had their Uno Dos Tres sort of trilogy of albums, and I can't say I listened to a song on any of them. This one was just like a gift from my dad or something, and I don't think I ever listened to it. Yeah, I don't know what songs from this were notable, if any. But there's that album. Wait, they had a Quattro? I don't remember that. Did they release 4 albums? That would be unfortunate. Okay, now we're on to a different band that I also have a lot from. So I only have 3. But I'll attempt to go in order anyways. And this band is none other than the White Stripes, who in middle school and high school was definitely one of my top 3 favorite bands, and Jack White was a major influence as I started learning how to play the guitar. So this was their album Elephant. I want to say 2001. 2008? Really? Really? Oh no, what is this? No, 2001. This must have been a reissue. Interesting. Okay. So, notable tracks from this one were Seven Nation Army. I think that everyone knows that. And I don't know if there's any other songs on this that were notable, but Seven Nation Army was here, so that's all that's really important. I don't remember buying this album at any point. I assume it was a gift. I'm not sure why this is a 2008 reissue. I'm fairly certain that this came out long before. Next is their album Get Behind Me, Satan, which, much like many other albums, has no text on it on the front. Notable tracks from this one are My Doorbell, The Denial Twist, and I think that's it. There could have been other ones, but I know for sure that those were their particularly notable ones. And listened to this album a fair bit. Nothing too crazy though. Was not my favorite. Simple interior as well. Ironically, I don't have my favorite White Stripes album. I assume that I had it on CD, but I'm not sure what happened to it, and that would have been White Blood Cells. Favorite White Stripes album. One of my favorite albums ever, in fact, but I do not have it. Instead, I do have Icky Thump, which I think was my first real introduction to the band in 2007. Yes, 2007. Notable songs from this were Icky Thump, You Don't Know What Love Is, You Just Do As You're Told, and I don't know if any of the other ones were very notable or not. But yeah, this album sort of, I think I was familiar with the White Stripes, but this is my first album I purchased from them. Then the other ones came later. And again, fairly simple on the inside. Next one is another paper one, and this one is 100% one of my favorite albums ever, one of my favorite bands ever, and I've been lucky enough to see them a couple times, and I would like to see them more, and that is Rise Against. In this case, their album Appeal to Reason, which I believe came out in 2008. Yes, 2008. And yeah, let's see what songs are from this one. Re-Education Through Labor was certainly the most popular radio one. Hero of War was an acoustic song, though. Oh, wait, no. The most popular one was Savior. Duh. You probably all know that song if you listened to the radio in 2008. Personally, my favorite song from this album is the final one, Whereabouts Unknown. But literally every song on this album is great. While I'm not really a fan of Hero of War, I do enjoy the message of it. But yeah, so this album has been through a lot of time on my shelf. It has the booklet built into the book, built into the album, which is interesting. All the lyrics there. And then the CD is in this section. It's sort of reflective. When I was in high school, my band was called Ringing in the Armory, so our initials were also RA, and I 100% completely stole this design there for one of our logo variations. Yeah, I could spend the whole video talking about this album, so I'm going to try not to. Another fantastic album is Fever from Bullet for My Valentine. I'm not the biggest Bullet for My Valentine fan, like I don't actively seek out their music, but every time I do hear some of their music, it's fantastic. This was another band that had plenty of successful songs and albums before I heard about them, but this happened to be the album that I purchased when I first heard about them. I purchased this on the same day as that Coheed and Cambria album that I started with, and notable tracks from this one I think were Your Betrayal, Fever, and The Last Fight. They might have had more from this, but I listened to this album so much at the time, and even still sometimes, that I kind of lost track of what the singles were. I actually have this one on vinyl. My fiance, girlfriend at the time that she got me this album on vinyl because she knew it was one of my favorites. And it was a double vinyl. It didn't quite fit on one. It needed 3 sides, but the 4th side was blank, so it had this design on it, which is pretty cool. One of my favorite songs to play on guitar is Your Betrayal, because it's pretty easy. I remember at the time learning the solo of The Last Fight, which I thought was really cool when I first got this album in 2010. Next we have an album with a bit to tell. This is War by 30 Seconds to Mars, which in my opinion was their last good album. Their music since then has been lackluster. So this album, it's a little faint, but you can see it's signed by all of the members, even though it kind of just looks like a scribble. But yes, this is signed. This is actually my second copy of the album. I think I got rid of the other one, but I already owned the CD, and I had to buy another copy at the show that I was at where I got this signed, which was kind of annoying, but it works. Notable tracks from this album were Kings and Queens and This Is War. I think Closer to the Edge may have also been some popular song, but yeah, I listened to this a lot in 2009 when it came out. They had these things where each album had a different photograph of a person in them, which was interesting. They got their logo, what are they? Yeah, they have all this like Latin stuff. At least they used to. I don't think they still do. They used to have sort of like a cult vibe. I remember I bought a t-shirt at that show that said "This is not a cult." So this case is broken because they had to crack it open when I purchased it, basically. Ironically, my other copy of the CD that I probably don't have anymore also was broken because at the time somebody that I was dating was borrowing this album and a couple other CDs, and then I broke up with them, and then they gave it back. They kind of just threw it all on the ground, which I believe cracked some of the cases. So yeah, do not have a pristine case of that. Next, let's just continue with things we have multiple of. Next is My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade. I don't know what I could even say on this. This was one of the most iconic albums of that time. 2000 and I want to say 6. 2006, yeah. I'm good at this. So yeah, My Chemical Romance was so well known for their theatrics and bombasticism and just catchiness of their songs. They really bridged a gap between people and made rock enjoyable to people that didn't necessarily listen to it. So notable tracks from this were Welcome to Black Parade. I don't even know what I can say about that. I mean, it's a meme these days. And then Teenagers and Famous Last Words were also singles from this album. And yeah, I've listened to this plenty of times. It's such an iconic album. And I'm sure many of you, if you are around the same age as me, also listen to this album a lot. But that's when most My Chemical Romance fans seem to fall off, but I stayed with them for their next release, which was called Danger Days. The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys. That was the subtitle. And when I finally saw this band live, it was touring for this album in particular. And I enjoyed this album a lot. It felt much more grown up than Welcome to the Black Parade, or than The Black Parade. I can see the evolution. I believe notable tracks from this one were Na Na Na. That one got played a lot. But I'm not entirely sure what songs were also popular. I want to say Planetary was... Yeah, I'm not sure. This one was not nearly as iconic as the Black Parade. Next we have a self-titled album from King Tuff. This is sort of an indie punk band, and this is an album that I enjoyed. I think this one I stole from my radio station that I worked at in college. Stole a lot of albums from there. Yeah, this is a big one. Folds out. And this has a lot of stuff in it. So yeah, instead of a booklet, there's just little cards that have the lyrics on them with a little sketch on the other side, which is why it's so big. A very thick album. And then here we have the actual CD, which is pretty much the same as the album cover. And this is on Sub Pop Records, which is a record label based in Seattle. But at the time in college, I was listening to pretty much every band on, I think. Yeah, stuck on something. Okay. But yeah, good album. Next we have Nothing Personal by All Time Low. All Time Low is a pop punk band that I think is still going strong as far as I know. But I feel like this was kind of the, maybe not the height of their career, but was sort of in their heyday when pop punk was still a thing. It very much feels like a product of the era that it was in. I think in 2009. Notable songs from this one were Weightless, Damned If I Do You, Damned If I Don't, and I'm not sure if there are any other ones. But yeah, this was a jewel case with a paper sleeve. And on the inside it was the same cover, but more stuff on it. Oof. That didn't sound good. Then yeah, I had ironically a cassette tape on the CD. I listened to this album quite a lot when I was in high school. I was very much into pop punk at the time. Still am, but it's a little too much bubblegum pop, I suppose, for me these days. I think this may have been one of my first CDs that I ever got, and it was Hot Fuss by The Killers, the limited edition, for some reason, which had a couple bonus tracks and was black instead of blue. So this is the one that has Mr. Brightside and Somebody Told Me, of course. I'm not sure if there are any other songs on here that were particularly notable. But this one at least came out in 2005. I'm not sure if the original came out in 2005 or not. But I was a big fan of The Killers in middle school and high school. And the CD here was just red. But yeah, everyone knows Mr. Brightside at least. The last couple albums I'm going to show you guys are ones a little more personal to me. This one is the KDUP student mixtape. I'm not sure what year, I think 2011. And KDUP is the radio station that I worked on in college. And this one's actually still plastic wrapped because I found a copy of the songs. But these are all bands that were from my college. And I think some of them were no longer around by the time I was involved in the radio station, but Focus Motel was one that I listened to a lot. Saw them a couple times playing house shows around our college. The other ones I'm not as familiar with, but all these bands were very talented. And then this is the 2015 student mixtape from KDUP, which is particularly special to me because I'm on it. Sort of. They spelled my name wrong, even though I literally worked on the radio station. But yeah, track 2 is my song "You're Not Okay," which is I've redone that song, so this is an old version. But yeah, the person above me, Aaron Fagan, is a very good and talented musician who still plays shows, still makes music. And there's the CD itself, which is very cool. I don't think I had any part designing this, but I'm very proud that I have a song published somewhere. Speaking of which, the last CDs I have here, I have 5 of them. This, I mentioned earlier that I had a band in high school called Ringing in the Armory, and, well, here we are. Here's my band. This was our EP, our one and only release. I have 5 copies left, and here's an unsealed one. I printed all of these myself, and my dad had a laser, not engraver, but laser printing thing for CDs, so we got it. Got our crow symbol and our logo that I designed up on there. And then a little insert with the track list, and then the cover, of course. And we handed these out to our friends, and the songs themselves are fine, but their recordings suck. Yeah, still have 4 sealed copies, or, sealed by Scotch tape. I am certainly proud of this 5-track album, or 4-track. 4-track. No, there's an outro thing, that's right. 5-track album. Really only 3 songs. Even though everything turned out pretty poorly, I'm still happy that I do have something recorded with a group of friends that I spent hours and hours with during my last couple years of high school. So there's our legendary Incarnation EP, which I don't know if it's still somewhere to listen to. I have all the original files, of course. So I'm going to leave this video here. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this journey into my past, my musical past. A lot of this music I still try to listen to, but some of it definitely does not reflect my current musical tastes. If you want to see more, I'll link my vinyl video at the end of this, which is a few years old now, but still pretty relevant. Anyways, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, or if you're not asleep. I will see you guys all next time. Have a good night.